are the most important relationship. Before you swipe, text, or worry about being too much, start with you. Grow Therapy helps you build self-worth, set boundaries, and show up as your full self. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Hi, I'm Ken Howard, and welcome to the Gay Therapy LA podcast. Today, I want to talk about gay men and compulsive smartphone use, why we scroll, why it hooks us, and how to feel more in control. If you're a gay man in 2025, odds are your phone is practically glued to your hand. It's routine now. Social feeds, dating apps, news cycles, curated thirst traps, travel inspirations, your DMs, your Grindr or Scruff messages, YouTube shorts, TikTok humor, and all the pages that you follow. The entire gay ecosystem worldwide, from fitness trends to politics to hot takes to relationship memes, apparel ads, queer creatives, the media, pride merchandise, circuit party flyers, all lives in this little 4-inch LED rectangle. And while it's tempting to roll our eyes and call all of this phone addiction, I think that does us a disservice. The term compulsive phone use, I think, better reflects what I see in clients. Overwhelmingly high-functioning, educated gay men who are emotionally intelligent, career successful, health conscious, and usually, but not always, living in sophisticated urban environments, although I tend to see gay men for therapy in LA or San Francisco or San Diego or the California cities where I'm licensed in California. My coaching clients can be in other big cities, but they also can be in the more rural areas where gay providers aren't as plentiful. But these guys, they're not in trouble. They're men who are trying to soothe a nervous system that lives in a culture of perpetual comparison and vigilance and longing and identity building, whatever age you are. And the problem isn't a weakness or a lack of self-discipline or, like we said, an addiction or a weak character. I don't like those negative words. It's that the smartphone, has become the primary psychological habitat for gay men. So let's explore why. Why gay men turn to the phone maybe more than most. One is gay culture lives online because historically that's when we've been the safest. From the old AOL chat rooms to Grindr to Scruff to Instagram, online spaces have been like digital gay bars or therapy circles or hookup ecosystems and identity mirrors. Our culture has honestly needed them as a safe space. When you grow up tracking microsignals in your environment for safety and belonging, your brain learns an exquisite skill, scanning for cues and meaning and validation anywhere you can find it, and developing the ability to assess threats and to find your interests or discover intimacy and making comparisons all at once. And the phone gives us this process just infinite room to run wild. Another is that affluent, educated gay men often pursue excellence, and feeds on your phone reward that. Many of my clients are high earners, executives, creatives, academics, entrepreneurs, I've done a lot of work about the gay male solo entrepreneur, and my webinar, Gay Men Starting Their Own Business, is about the gay male entrepreneur, but other high-functioning professionals. And they're wired as a group for insight and analysis and optimization and self-actualization. And so, the input of our smartphone promises better bodies, better skin, better diets, better careers, better relationships, better sex, better taste, better apartments or houses, or better vacations. That loop is intoxicating, especially when you already are at achieving at high levels. Our phones kind of say, yeah, wherever you are, let's do more, let's have more, let's achieve more. So for many of us, a lot of scrolling isn't really boredom. It's research. It's self-improvement. It's identity building. It's looking for the next good thing that maybe we can be a part of or that we could buy, until it gets compulsive. So let's look at gay men, especially in big coastal cities, face intense visual comparison pressure. We scroll through these curated torsos and these architect-designed kitchens and Mediterranean vacations and impeccable grooming tips and age-defying bodies and six-figure weddings and very idealized friendships and post-therapy emotional maturity captions. So men who are, by definition, already extraordinary suddenly feel behind. They're behind. We got to keep up with the gay Joneses. So our nervous system stays on alert. Am I desirable enough? Am I aging poorly? Uh-oh, got to get the under eye cream. Do I make enough? Here's a financial planner talking about retirement. Is my body competitive? Because, oh boy, there's a lot of candidates in the competition for best body of the world. Millions of them online. Are my social circles impressive enough? Am I traveling with the right crowd? Do I travel in a prestigious crowd? And the more you scroll, the more you calibrate your self-worth against impossible composites. And so phone use becomes a form of self-surveillance. Many gay men use compulsive scrolling on a phone to regulate loneliness or anxiety and self-soothing. So gay men are more likely than straight men to experience minority stress. We've talked about that, even if you're a white male, even a white affluent male, you still have minority stress because of being gay. And of course, if you have other traits, being a person of color or being a veteran or, lots of other different minority groups that combine with being gay, then you have the intersectionality of minority stress, double or triple or whatever. Gay men are more likely than straight men to experience anxiety symptoms and chronic self-monitoring in a competitive environment. Straight men have competition too, but it's different for gay men because we're self-monitoring a lot and measuring ourselves against the other male animal, not in competition for the affections of a woman or for property, but we are chronically self-monitoring about a competitiveness, about our sense of self in relation to other guys, other gay men. We tend to have more body dysmorphia pressures. We tend to have more depression or imposter syndrome or a trauma history or histories of being socially excluded. So compulsive scrolling is often emotionally intelligent self-numbing. It's that maladaptive coping for stress. There's so many maladaptive copings for stress: alcohol, drugs, compulsive spending, all that stuff. And it's something to distract us from ruminating thoughts when we're doing scrolling. It's something to soften vulnerability. It's something to fill space, to kind of kill time. You ever been in an airport waiting for a plane? What are people doing? They're on their phones, killing time until it's time to board a plane. Something to provide stimuli when your emotional energy dips. It can be a little perk, a little pick-me-up. If this were the old days, and to some degree now, somebody might have a cigarette or a vape for a bump of nicotine. Well, you could also have a bump of scrolling when your energy dips. And it works, like a lot of these things, it works briefly, but it also postpones, in general, a deeper form of healing, a longer lasting, more robust, more effective healing. Our phones offer the fantasy of connection, but with a minimal risk. Because real vulnerability with interpersonal relationships like dating takes effort. It takes uncertainty of how's this going to go? Oh, do I like them? Do they like me? How's this going to go? What's going to happen? Disclosure, you have to kind of take a leap of faith and say something that the other person might react to. There's high emotional stakes, could be a high or a low. There's a rejection risk whenever you're interpersonally interacting. And likes and messages on your comments or in your DMs or whatever, they kind of mimic real interpersonal intimacy without requiring it, without requiring all the other things that real life interpersonal interactions require. So part of the compulsive loop in smartphone use is your own nervous system saying, give me connection, but keep it distant enough that I don't get hurt. And isn't that just the perfect combination? That's why you have millions and millions or billions of people doing this for collectively billions of hours, because it's just a common human denominator to say, give me connection, but keep it distant enough so that I don't get hurt. That's a deal that most people would take. Let's look at some of the quiet signs that your phone use has become compulsive. So if any of these feel familiar, you're in good company with a large percentage of people in the world, including gay men. So checking apps before you're getting out of bed, seeing 2 hours disappear without noticing, oh boy, where did the time go? Feeling a pull to scroll on whatever app or screen, even when you don't want to, you're pulled to do it anyway. Using your phone to numb feelings of overwhelm or sadness or boredom, especially boredom. Feeling envy more than joy when you're scrolling. I talk about this a lot with clients, that if you're scrolling and this is how I tend to use mine, even though it sounds a little, idealized or something. If you're scrolling and you're getting inspiration, where it's like, I found recipes. Oh boy, that looks great. I'm going to take a screenshot of that recipe and I'm going to make that. I've done that with a couple of fitness people who recommend these fantastic recipes, and they're generous enough to post them for free. Or you're inspired. I'll sometimes look at a fitness person who'll say, do this for your rear delts. It really, really works. And he'll demonstrate. And then I'll go to my trainer or go to my gym and I'll say, I saw this online. Can we try this? And then we do. And it's a nice exercise. So if you're scrolling and you're getting things like inspiration and you're getting kind of a lift or a laugh or sometimes even being moved. I've seen some of the animal videos that I think are moving you to tears, but kind of in a good way. But if it's the opposite, if it's a more negative experience where you're feeling envy more than joy, okay, that's a quiet sign that your phone use has become compulsive, and then it's a negative experience, a net negative experience. If you're avoiding tasks in the real world, like the gym or errands you have to do, or exploring creative work, or doing your meal prep, or making social plans, and that stuff is all getting supplanted by your phone use that doesn't really have as much value as doing those other things, that can be a sign of compulsive use. Feeling subtly more anxious when you've been scrolling a lot. You scroll for a certain period of time, and at the end of that, you actually feel worse instead of better, as opposed to something like taking a walk or working out or reading something inspiring or playing with your pet or something. At the end of a certain period of time doing that, you probably feel better. And feeling uncomfortable, a little wonky, when your phone isn't within reach, where there's a distance anxiety of, no, I kind of want my phone. I don't want to leave it in the other room. So none of this means that there's something wrong with you, but it means that your brain has adapted to a constant reward circuit. And of course, that's by design. I don't know how much you personally earn. It could be a lot, it could be a little, but there are people who earn big money, big white collar jobs with salary and benefits and all that stuff, who work for some of these apps or who work for some of the platforms. And their whole job is to design things so that you stay on the app longer, your eyes are on the app longer, you see more of the ads have more of an impact, and ultimately the advertisers' sales or services go up. That's how it works. It's that way with television and television ratings. It's that way back in the days of newspapers or magazines that had a enticing cover to buy the magazine. Of course, as you're reading the articles, well, you're seeing the ad for this and the ad for that. A lot of it's about advertising. And we forget that an ad for a shaving cream in a men's magazine is similar to the experience of an app that is all designed to keep your eyes on that material so that you see the advertising and ultimately get influenced to buy the products. That's how it's worked for centuries now. And many men don't realize how frequently compulsive phone use tracks against relationship strain issues, sexual disconnection, low motivation, even depression symptoms, and a decreased emotional presence. Some of the old people like me, when they talk about generational differences, they'll say, well, in the 80s we talked. We wore bright colors and we talked and we just interpersonally interacted, whereas nowadays everybody's got their nose in their phone and wears dark colors, and isn't that awful? And okay, maybe to some degree. Think of the TV show Friends. They would go to the coffee shop and they would talk and they would joke and they would tease and all that, but they weren't texting. They were sitting there talking to one another and looking right at each other and interacting. And a lot of people in my generation, Boomer, Gen X, whatever, tend to kind of bemoan the loss of that because they look at that and kind of say, it was kind of nice to be at a coffee shop or a diner or something or anywhere and just talk to your friends instead of just boop, boop, talking in text. So why I think gay men deserve compassion, not shame about this. So gay men rarely got to be fully relaxed in our teenage years, the age when most straight people formed confidence and social ease and mating rituals and the rules of sex and the rules of dating and being more comfortable with their romantic self and their social self and their sexual self. Straight boys and girls tend to get more opportunities for cultivating this and almost mastering it by the time they reach college or college age than LGBT people do. We kind of have that delayed adolescence even now. It's getting a little better, but we still have a little bit of a delayed adolescence that straight people don't have because they have heterosexual privilege that goes, well, into childhood, but certainly in their teens when they're learning sense of self and they're learning social relationships. So as gay men, many of us developed identities off in the shadows, studying ourselves quietly, internally, where we have privacy and nobody can hear that we're thinking about why do we like Bobby in gym class. We know that we can't talk about liking Bobby in gym class, but when we see Bobby in gym class, oh boy, that's a nice sight to see. I remember feeling that way. I remember feeling that way in kindergarten, frankly. I won't name names, but I could. And certainly in middle school where it became, spank bank material. But, that's all internal because I wasn't out and wasn't talking to anybody about liking somebody in gym class or in algebra class or whatever. Many of us developed identity in the shadows about managing anxiety. We couldn't talk about our anxiety about being gay or bisexual or whatever in school years, elementary, middle, high school. We guarded our secrets. We took great pains. We might have hid the porn magazine where we thought nobody could find it, although sometimes they did. We were trying to be enough. Sometimes gay men were developing an identity that was kind of socially bulletproof by being enough. If we were athletic enough or smart enough or compliant enough, then maybe we wouldn't catch shit for being gay. And we were scanning our environment for approval. We would find approval anywhere we could, or comfort. So maybe we found that in the band, or certainly notoriously high school theater departments are very acceptable of gay teens. And scanning for approval, maybe we had a compassionate aunt who was more hip and more understanding than even our parents were. And occasionally even grandparents, which is funny because sometimes grandparents can be more accepting of their grandkids being gay than even their parents because the stakes are lower. It's kind of like, whatever, I love my grandkid no matter what. But we will take our approval and we'll take our respite and our safety in any safe port in a storm. And the phone recreates that internal workshop. It's a private space for longing and aspiration and imagined belonging and a silent comparison. Everything that you see online on your phone, you're comparing. Do I have that? Can I be that? Can I do that? Can I look like that? And we're comparing and how we measure up. And unfortunately, since those images are so idealized, a lot of times we try to measure up and we can't because our real life situation is matched against somebody who's filtered or whatever. And this isn't a pathology. It's an evolutionary adaptation born from survival, especially for gay men and for other LGBT people. And we really deserve tenderness about that and compassion. We don't need these missives like sex addict or phone addict or whatever. We don't need to be told that we're defective because, we use our phones too much. That doesn't help the situation. And I don't think any of that negative stuff helps anybody to deal with the situation that they're being accused of being bad at. We already know that it's a hardship. We don't need to be dismissed and insulted to drive the point home. So what do you do about that? Here's an idea. I like to say that. Here's an idea. Some ideas about, a lot of self-help and I think in some ways podcasts sometimes talk about a problem, but they don't tell you what to do about it. What can you try in concrete behavioral terms that might move the needle and make you feel and be better about the things you have anxiety or frustration with? So let's talk about some gentle experiments that can help you feel more in control. And instead of discipline or punishment, I coach clients toward doing these kind of practical behavioral experiments that feel empowering and emotionally regulating. So try these one at a time. Number one, try phone-free mornings for the first 20 minutes. Leave the phone across the room on your bedside table or in a home office or the kitchen counter, wherever you put your phone when you go to sleep at night. And let your brain just wake up in those first 20 minutes of the day without any screen stimulation. You're just in your environment, the sun through the windows and your pets and your stuff around and the hot coffee or the tea or whatever's around you. Let those stimuli be your stimulation and non-electronic just for the first 20 minutes. Real low stakes. Doesn't have to be all morning, just first 20 minutes. Number two is prevent some single app time windows. If it's an app, it gets its own window of time. So for example, you do TikTok, but only after 5 p.m. And you do Instagram only after your work. Or you do Grindr only when you're truly available to socialize or date, just like you would be going in a gay bar or club or something like that where gay men socialize. You go to one of the gay apps to socialize or maybe even hook up just like you were going in person to a bar. The third one is put a Post-it, a sticky note on the back of your phone and just write the question, what am I feeling now? What am I feeling now? Because often the urge to just doom scroll on your phone is emotional. It's not informational. But if you have a prompt like that, like the sticky note, this is what am I feeling now? It forces you to self-reflect and to engage a little affect regulation and just brings into a self-awareness. I'm feeling angry because somebody pissed me off, or I'm feeling horny because I just worked out, my blood's really pumping, or I'm really bored right now because I got to wait for dinner to bake and I've got some time to kill. You just say, what am I feeling right now? So it brings the emotional impetus for using your phone into conscious awareness. Number 4 is choose a replacement behavior. Instead of just automatically going to scrolling, take a walk around the block. Just get your blood flowing, take one walk around the block. Or drop down to the floor and give 5 push-ups, or 20, or 5 I think might be a little modest. But maybe try it, whatever you can do. Maybe see how many you can do. Make it a little challenge for yourself. Or go to a journal, either online or better yet, maybe written in a book. Journal one sentence about how you feel. Doesn't have to be a whole entry. It can be just one sentence. Or make some tea or coffee or whatever you like. It could be a cocktail tube if you're not in recovery, and if you're not there's not an alcohol problem. You have to bring a lot of critical thinking to that idea, but certainly making a tea or a coffee or a protein shake or something like that, make something to nourish yourself with. Or do a grooming thing, do a face wash and moisturizer, or a facial mask, or something like that, or clip your fingernails and toenails with a clipper, or give yourself a mini manicure, but do something kind of self-grooming as a replacement behavior for your phone. So you break the compulsive loop before you even open the screen on your phone. Number 5 is interrupt the comparison pressure and just say this out loud. I'm comparing my behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Fair is fair. I'm comparing my behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, because everybody you see online has the unfiltered self, or they have the self that you don't see with idealized lighting and idealized filming and all of that. And fair is fair. You have to make a fair comparison to what's real for you versus what the illusion is online. And that's been true with television and film and stage, for decades and centuries, even on the stage, because it's not a fair comparison. The big supermodel, Cindy Crawford, said, I wish I looked like Cindy Crawford when I first get up in the morning. And that was her saying that, because in order for Cindy at home to look like Cindy the model on the billboard, she's got to have hair and makeup and all kinds of stuff to spruce up to look like the model version of herself. A lot of stars who are known for looking good really have to kind of put that on. Even if they do a talk show speaking of themselves, they still have makeup and hair and a stylist. They're still not at home in their sweats. So interrupting that comparison pressure by saying, I'm comparing my behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, fair is fair, it disrupts that internalized feeling of inadequacy almost instantly. Number 6 is track the emotional outcomes. After you've done scrolling, when it's finally time to put your phone down and close it up or whatever, you say, do I feel better? Do I feel flatter? Do I feel smaller? Do I feel bigger? Just kind of track. Again, how am I feeling after the experience? And most people find that 10 minutes of scrolling makes them feel worse than how they felt 10 minutes ago. That's kind of a thing. And that sucks, because that means it's oftentimes a bad experience. And when you learn that really viscerally on an emotional level, the compulsion to do that kind of loosens, because you don't have a net gain. But if it is positive, if you walk away from saying, oh my God, that was the funniest thing I ever saw on a comedian on TikTok or something like that, or in whatever platform it is, if you walk away and your stomach hurts because you've been laughing watching the kittens do tricks or whatever it is, or watching some comedian clip, Anthony Jeselnik will do that for me. Then it's less. All right, and that might be a positive reinforcement of the behavior so that you scroll more. But still, I think if you can walk away from a scrolling session, just check in and say, was that above baseline? It makes me feel better, or was it below baseline and it made me feel worse than if I'd never done it at all? Number 7 is make the phone an intentional tool and not an automatic reflex. So before you open an app, just like the sticky note says, what am I feeling? You also say, what am I going here for? Okay, if I open Grindr or I open Scrub, am I going here to find somebody to hook up today or tonight? Or am I just kind of saying what's what? Or if I open the news, is there something I really want to know about today? Was there something I was curious about? Or do I just want to hear about all the doom and gloom that somebody somehow curated and put online? What am I going here for? Why? What's the purpose? And if there is no purpose, then pause and kind of say, on second thought, I don't have enough of an intention of what I'm going here for to do it. Therefore, I won't do it. I'll do something else. Number 8 is reconnect with embodied moments, because your body resets just in terms of neurobiology, and it just resets those compulsive brain circuits through doing certain things. There's a number of them. Sun exposure will help if it's not already dark, but just exposing sun on your face and to your eyes will kind of reset you neurobiologically. Walking outside, the fresh air, the mechanics of walking if you can. Water, washing your hands or washing your face or even drinking water. That's that idea of aqua vitae, the idea that water is life. Water, or even going for a swim, is a way to kind of reset. Having sex that's kind of the ultimate one, because you go into the erotic energy and you have your fun, and then you come out of it, and it's been like a little mini vacation in your world by going into the erotic and then coming back out. Cooking something, using the materials and the chemistry and the heat and the chopping and the sautéing or whatever. Cooking resets neurobiologically because it's something you're doing with your hands and your visuals and your sense of smell and, of course, your sense of taste. Can you touch something? You kind of reset emotion when you touch something like a fidget toy or petting your pet's coat or doing something that is about touch. You're tossing a ball up and down, feeling it thump in your hand. Having a conversation, engaging in some kind of interpersonal experience. It could be a big talk or it could be just a little small talk with a neighbor, but a conversation helps you reset. And of course, one of my favorites, being a big music fan and having written a musical even, music, playing music in the car or at home, that will reset. Because as somebody said once, music hath charms to calm the savage beast. Music is a great way to change your mood, because the mood, especially upbeat music, is kind of imposed on you with the sound waves, and then that kind of changes your energy and resets your mind. So gay men tend to intellectualize and aestheticize life in general, and embodiment brings that sense of presence back by doing things in the real world. So you're not alone if you're relating to some of the phone overuse challenges. You're not broken, you're not addicted, because compulsive phone use is often a symptom of stress. There's a lot of that these days. Overstimulation in general, because everybody's got something to sell or something to say. Comparison issues, a longing, loneliness is such a big deal for so many people, but especially in the LGBT world. Or anxious self-monitoring. Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? That's a mantra in gay men's heads, just too much. And gay men know how to adapt. It's one of our superpowers. We're like social chameleons. We know how to adapt. So that means we're also capable of changing patterns. We can repattern toward a sense of agency, a sense of presence, a sense of confidence, mastering emotional regulation, or at least practicing emotional regulation, creating a deeper intimacy with friends or family or pets or certainly partners and spouses. And I help clients with this all the time, not through shaming them, bad, 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 you're addicted to your phone, bad, 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 but through understanding. We explore, we don't just excoriate. So if you want help with this, I work with gay men throughout California for psychotherapy, LA, but the other cities and towns and stuff too, and internationally or nationally in other states for coaching services. And there's a lot of overlap with those when we unpack the compulsive loops that you have in relation to your phone, or anxious comparison patterns. What happens for you when you get into comparison? Body image pressures. If some of you want to change about your body, where it's like, oh, my doctor says I got to lose 20 pounds or I'm going to have a heart attack. Okay, well, then maybe you want to work on that. You don't just kind of accept that always and just be unhealthy. Sometimes you do want to do something about that. But you don't want to get into feeling lousy about yourself because you don't look like some fitness model who's on the other side of the world and does nothing but work out for a living. We unpack relationship dynamics because a lot of compulsive behaviors of all kinds come from some kind of stress in a relationship dynamic, particularly with a partner or spouse. We unpack sexuality and intimacy and reducing some of the impact globally, lifelong, of minority stress, accepting that you do have minority stress that permeates your environment and it has an effect on you to a greater or smaller degree. So if you see yourself somewhere in all of this discussion, you're not alone and you're not too or too much. You're someone with reasons that this is going on. And I'd be glad to help you name them and soothe them and build something better. So I'm Ken Howard, LCSW-CST. I've been a gay men's specialist psychotherapist for 33 years now. My websites, there's two of them. gaytherapyla.com for therapy clients in California, and gaycoachingla for clients in other states or worldwide, or even if you just want coaching services in California, that's also an option. And I've specialized in working almost exclusively with gay men's mental health for a long time, and I'm proud to have developed that niche and that expertise. It means I've maybe missed out on working with some other populations and things, but I'm very proud to do that because I care about our gay male community very specifically. It comes from my experience helping guys at the height of the AIDS crisis. And I find that very rewarding. So get in touch. You can text. Texting is always the fastest way to reach me. 310-339-5778. That's 310-339-5778. Ken@gaytherapyla.com and Ken@gaycoachingla.com will also reach me if you're interested in doing the therapy or the coaching work. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.
Shop Vaughn's and Albertsons for big savings on everyday favorites. Right now at Vaughn's and Albertsons, Signature Select whole frying chicken, drumsticks or thighs, bone-in are 99 cents per pound. And medium-ripe avocados are 99 cents each with membership where applicable. Plus, Tillamook cream cheese, shredded, chunks, sliced, or snack cheese, 6.5 to 8 ounces, selected varieties are $2.99 with membership where applicable. Hurry in, these deals won't last. Visit Vaughn's or Albertsons.com for more deals and ways to save.